been told you're free. Free to choose. Free to speak. Free to be whatever you want. But look around. How free do you really feel? Do you own your life? Or do you spend it for someone else's profit, pleasure, or approval? From the first bell of school, you're trained not to build, but to obey. You're taught how to fit in, not how to stand out. They tell you to wait your turn, keep your head down, memorize the answers, and never challenge the system. By the time you're a man, you're so used to asking for permission that you've forgotten you were ever meant to own anything, least of all yourself. This isn't freedom. This is servitude with a smile. This is slavery in a suit. John Locke was the first to put it in writing. A man who doesn't own himself, who doesn't own his life, his time, his body, is not a man at all. He is property. Property of the state. Property of his boss. Property of a woman. Property of culture. And the tragedy is, you don't even notice the chains, because they taught you to love them. They gave you freedom as a word, so you'd never realize you'd lost the reality. The first step in breaking the chains, admitting you're not free, admitting you are owned, and then declaring war on the forces that profit from your submission. Why did Locke obsess over property? Because he understood that property is not just stuff. It's the outer ring of your soul. Whatever you build, whatever you own, whatever you defend with your sweat and blood, that is the visible proof that you exist. Property is what separates a king from a slave. A slave works for another. A king builds for himself. You can feel this in your bones. Every man has the urge to claim, to conquer, to leave his mark. You see a blank wall, you want to put your name on it. You see a field, you want to shape it into a garden. You see a problem, you want to fix it. That urge is divine. That urge is why you're here. But modern culture hates that urge. It wants you dependent, domesticated, and docile. It wants you borrowing, not owning. It wants you asking, not acting. It wants you paying rent with your soul, never building equity with your spirit. Locke's insight is simple. If you are not building, you are decaying. If you are not owning, you are being owned. The urge to build is the urge to be free, to claim your own existence as sacred. That's why every totalitarian, every manipulator, every weak or corrupted system seeks first to strip men of ownership. If you have nothing that is yours, you have nothing to fight for, and you become easy to control. You may not wear chains. You may not answer to a master with a whip. But look at your life. Who controls your time? Who owns your effort, your creativity, your energy? Is it your boss, the government, your family, the women you chase, the culture that tells you what is acceptable masculinity? Slavery today wears 1,000 masks. Debt, where you work years just to pay for things you never truly own. Addiction, where you trade your freedom for the illusion of comfort. Approval, where you surrender your soul to win the affection of people who don't even respect you. Distraction, where you hand over your purpose in exchange for mindless entertainment, porn, or social media. You are told that property is materialistic, selfish, outdated. That wanting to own is greedy, toxic, masculine, and wrong. So you shrink. You stop claiming, you stop building, and you start consuming. But Locke would spit on a society that turns men into renters of apartments, of dreams, of their own destiny. A society that rewards the compliant, not the courageous. A society that demands you justify every ounce of ambition, every spark of power, every urge to create. The new slavery is invisible, and that's why it works. You are chained by your own willingness to accept less than you deserve. Locke didn't just mean land or money or things. The first property you own is your body. If you don't own your body, you don't own anything. Every day, you are given choices. What will you put in your mouth? How will you treat your body? Will you train, grow, build strength, or let yourself decay? Every day you skip the gym, you rent your body to weakness. Every night you trade sleep for entertainment, you mortgage your energy to someone else's agenda. Every time you settle for comfort, you sell your future for a cheap high. And it goes deeper. Your mind is your second property. What you feed it, books, podcasts, conversations, challenges, determines what you can build in the world. A man whose mind is owned by propaganda, porn, and mediocrity is no different from a junkie who sold his last shirt for a hit. And then there's your will, the deepest property, the fire inside that says, I will, I can, I must. Every time you betray your word, break your discipline, or let others set your standards, you rent out your will to the lowest bidder. Locke's masculine revolution starts with the question, what do you truly own? Modern men are told that ambition is sinful, that wanting to build is arrogance. But look at the world. The only progress ever made was made by men who refused to be owned, by men who built. John Locke's view was that God gave the earth to men not to exploit, but to develop, to improve, to turn wilderness into civilization. Building is not greed. Building is gratitude. Building is stewardship. A man who builds honors God by honoring his own potential. A man who refuses to build betrays his own soul. Every great civilization, every leap in history, every piece of art, science, or beauty began with a man who said, I will build, I will claim, I will leave this world better than I found it. Your refusal to own, to build, to create is not humility. It is cowardice. You were not born to serve other men's dreams. You were born to turn nothing into something. Your body, your mind, your life, your world. You want raw. Here's raw. Modern women are not taught to build. They are taught to take. They are taught to look for the builder, the owner, the man with something to show for himself, and then shame him, tax him, drain him, or use him until he's empty. Marriage used to be a partnership. Now it's a contract written by lawyers and enforced by the state. You build, she enters, and the law is on her side if she decides to take half of what you made. And if you dare to have standards, if you dare to say, this is mine, these are my rules, this is my mission, you are called toxic, controlling, misogynistic. You become afraid to claim anything. You become afraid to draw boundaries, to say no, to protect your castle. Locke never wrote that property should be handed over to those who haven't built it. He never said you should apologize for having something worth defending. Modern men have been shamed into giving away what they built, or worse, have stopped building altogether. If you want to be a man, you must build with the willingness to defend. You must stop apologizing for having a kingdom. You must stop letting women, or the state, or the culture, guilt you out of your masculine birthright. You owe nothing to those who don't respect the work, the discipline, the years it took you to build. Society conditions you to wait for permission. Permission to speak, to build, to own, to lead. But Locke's message is that you need no permission. The right to build is not granted. It is seized. Look at history. No great man waited for approval before building his empire. The world will never be ready for your vision. Your boss, your parents, your partner, your friends, they will all question, doubt, or mock you when you decide to build. But a man who waits is a man who dies with his dreams inside him. The masculine principle is action, not approval. Risk, not reassurance. Do you want to know why you feel anxious, unfulfilled, or angry? Because you are living as a shadow, not as an owner. If you want to build, do it. If you want to claim, claim it. If you want to live, start now. The right to build is the right to live. Locke's philosophy is not for the weak. Ownership is expensive. Ownership demands sacrifice. You will be tested. You will fail. You will lose friends, lovers, maybe even your reputation for a while. Building is not safe. The builder stands alone. The builder is envied, hated, targeted. But ownership is the only path to legacy. The only men remembered are the men who built, who took risk, carried pain, and left behind something that could not be erased. You want to be free? You must be willing to pay the price. Pain, risk, struggle, isolation, discipline. Every scar, every sleepless night, every betrayal is proof that you tried, while the renters, the beggars, the critics only watched. Locke's message is often misunderstood. Before you own land, money, women, or empires, you must own yourself. Build your discipline until you cannot be shaken. Build your mind until you cannot be deceived. Build your spirit until you cannot be broken. Men who try to build kingdoms without first mastering themselves always lose it all. You see it everywhere. Men who win the lottery, men who inherit power, men who fake success on social media. They have everything, but inside, they are renters. They cannot control their urges, their fears, their minds. The true empire is the one you build inside yourself. Every day, you are laying bricks or tearing them down. Ask yourself, do I rule my habits or do they rule me? Can I say no to temptation, or am I owned by my vices? Can I make promises and keep them, or am I a slave to my emotions? Self-mastery is the foundation. Without it, every other kingdom falls. No empire is built alone. Locke believed in community, not as a crutch, but as a force multiplier. You need brothers who build, who challenge, who fight beside you. Weak men fear strong company. Builders seek out builders. Your circle determines your castle. If you spend time with renters, you'll stay a renter. But if you find men who own their minds, bodies, and destinies, you will rise together. Brotherhood is not about comfort. It is about iron sharpening iron. Seek out the strong, cut off the weak. Build the tribe that builds you. Locke's property theory wasn't written for the playground. It was written for the battlefield. And the most relentless challenge to your ownership will come from women. A woman will always test the man who builds. She wants to know if your kingdom is real or if it's a sandcastle. She will try to move in, to redecorate, to demand you bend your rules. She will see if you'll trade your mission for her comfort, your vision for her love. If you bend, you lose her respect and eventually her loyalty. If you hold, she will either rise to your standard or walk away. The builder cannot be afraid to lose a woman. He must be willing to defend his empire, even if it means standing alone. Weak men negotiate the terms of their own defeat. Strong men enforce the law of their kingdom. Love is for the strong. Ownership is for the unyielding. There is a reason the world wants you weak. A man who owns is dangerous to every parasite, manipulator, and tyrant. Governments profit from renters. They control you through taxes, regulations, and dependency. Corporations profit from renters. They sell you cheap thrills and hollow dreams. Women profit from renters. They demand your labor, your protection, your time, but offer nothing in return if you have nothing they want. Every ad you see, every law you obey, every subtle pressure you feel is a test. Will you rent your life for their benefit, or will you own it for your legacy? Renters are pawns. Owners are kings. Know your enemies and never apologize for your desire to own. No more excuses, no more waiting, no more renting. Audit your life. Where are you owned? Where are you giving away power, time, energy, or money for nothing in return? Cut out the vices that own you. Porn, junk food, Netflix, Gossip. Every minute you waste is property you've handed to the enemy. Train your body. Strength is proof of ownership. Discipline is the down payment on greatness. Learn a skill that creates value. Stop consuming and start producing. The builder is always in demand. Guard your time. Every yes to nonsense is a no to your empire. Invest, don't spend. Every dollar, every hour, every relationship should make you stronger. Draw boundaries, at home, at work, with women, with friends. You teach people how to treat you. Build your brotherhood. Cut off the leeches. Seek out lions. Take risks. You cannot build without losing, without failing, without being laughed at by the small. Never apologize for owning. Let the world hate. Let the weak criticize. You are not here for their comfort. You are here for your legacy. Most men never build. Most men die renting their lives, their time, their soul. They blame everyone else for their fate. The government, their parents, women, bad luck. But the truth is, if you don't build, you become nothing. No one remembers the man who only consumed. No one honors the man who only watched. The world buries renters in unmarked graves, but the builder leaves a legacy. What will you leave behind? What will your sons inherit? What will your brothers remember? If you refuse to build, you die forgotten. This is not theory. This is not politics. This is not comfort. This is war. War for your mind, your body, your destiny, your right to build. The world will fight you. Women will test you. The weak will mock you. But the builder persists. The builder claims. The builder outlasts them all. John Locke gave you the blueprint. Property is power. Power is freedom. Freedom is your birthright. You owe it to yourself, to your ancestors, to your brothers, and to the God who made you. Build. If this message hit home, if you're ready to start building, I want you with us. Like, comment, and subscribe. Because every man who wakes up makes this brotherhood stronger. Share your story below. Let's start a real conversation. And if you know a man who's ready to reclaim his power, send this to him. Your support helps men everywhere stand up, own their lives, and build their empires. Stay strong, stay sharp, and above all, build.